Holy smokes, everyone, outside in the city today. I have not been in Melbourne CBD, Central Business District, probably since the start of COVID right now. And we celebrated my wife's birthday last night. I thought, you know what, it would be a good time to come back to the city to see, you know, what the aftermath is from the past 2 years, from everything that's happened, and to get a boots on the ground real idea of how the economy is doing. And in today's video, I want to talk about specifically the global economy, because over the past couple of days we've just got some new huge developments that are showing things are escalating right now. It's going to be a good one. Definitely not going to want to miss this. Sorry if it's a bit noisy, but I thought, you know, we're going to give you guys a little bit of tour of what Melbourne's like. Why I talk about today's topic, because I'm on the road right now. So first things first, something that is absolutely crazy that is happening right now is what's happening in Lebanon. Lebanon has absolutely collapsed. It is a failing state, and we're seeing things get really crazy. We're having people have their bank accounts frozen, and their only way to get their money out of the bank again, because remember, all these banks are insolvent, and it could happen here. Remember, everyone says, oh, it's different here, it'll never happen here. Definitely could happen here. So they had to, by force, I guess I would say, to put it in friendly terms, because I don't want to get this video flagged, by force they went to the banks in groups just to get the deposits out. They didn't, you know, want to take all the money. They just wanted to get their money out. And this is something, you know, that we've been watching for a while, and this is how things can, you know, slowly deteriorate. Nothing will happen for a while, or things will slowly crash, and then bam, all you know it, things crash overnight, and things get really crazy. So that's happening. People, you need to know that your money is not 100% safe in the banks. People will say, well, I've got FDIC insurance. Well, remember, FDIC only has about $100 billion, and there's about $18 trillion worth of deposits in the US banking system. So I'm no mathematician, but I don't think $100 billion is sufficient to cover $18 trillion in deposits. Remember in 2008, AIG, the mortgage insurer, they went bust. They were meant to be the insurer for all these crazy mortgages, but even the insurer went bust. So that's first thing. Remember, guys, diversify your bank accounts, have some cash on hand, because we're seeing more and more blackouts. You see what happened in Puerto Rico. It's very sad what's happening there. Their whole power grid went down. I haven't checked if it's back up yet. The whole power grid is down, and we're seeing how fragile the power grid is becoming in the US. In Australia, we've had warnings that there could be blackouts. Imagine if you needed to go buy something, but you only had a card, you wouldn't be able to transact. So that's why you need to have some cash on hand, because with the way this energy crisis is going, which is, I think, has been designed because I used to work in the energy industry about 5 years ago. I worked in it for about 5 years. And even 10 years ago, every year I would work there, they'd be announcing, okay guys, look, there's going to be a bit of a shortage because they're closing another plant and another plant. I think during the 5 years I was there, they closed about 5 plants. So it's no shock, you know, this has been in the works for about a decade now, this energy crisis. So that's what's going on with Lebanon, with Puerto Rico. Now, there's a huge announcement came out from India. They are banning all broken rice exports. So they're banning rice exports because of the food shortages. Now, just like the energy crisis, we're going to see a huge food shortage crisis. They've also announced 20% tariffs on other different kinds of rice on their exports. What we are seeing now, and the reason why you have to pay attention to this, you may think, oh, India doesn't really affect us. India accounts for 50% of rice exports, and rice is one of the last, affordable foods for families that are really struggling. What do they survive on? Rice. If rice keeps skyrocketing like it has, we're going to see mass hunger, way worse than we're seeing right now. And I think what we're going to continue to see is countries start hoarding food. These huge exporters of food, they're going to start running out of food. And so what are they going to do? They're going to start hoarding it and not sending it to countries like us, Australia and the US. We're seeing farmers, the droughts absolutely destroying them. And then there's also farmers being paid, to destroy their crops, to destroy their livestock. We're seeing Bill Gates, he's announced to buy more and more farmland. Who knows, what he's going to end up doing with that, what the final play is with that. But it's always worrying when one person gets so much power and gets so much control over the food supply. I'm going to walk back here because it's a bit windy down there. Now, also what happened overnight, we saw cryptos absolutely get hammered. We saw Bitcoin fall to low 18,000s. We saw Ethereum fall into the 1200s. We saw the stock futures, they were deep in the red. Now there was a bit of dip buying late this afternoon. But still, guys, with the markets, huge event happening this week. The Federal Reserve going to be hiking. It's guaranteed they're going to be hiking 75 basis points, 0.75%. But the big question will be is, will they go the full 1%? And I think they have to. I don't know if they will. It's very debatable. They will. They should. We all know they should. But there still is a chance they'll hike 1%, and they need to hike 1% because 0.25% wasn't enough, 0.5% wasn't enough, 0.75% wasn't enough. And you know what a lot of people are saying, and what a lot of these billionaire commentators are coming out, they're saying the Federal Reserve has to stop hiking interest rates because they're going to crash the economy. Well, people, do you want to know what will happen if they stop hiking interest rates? We just got news out from Argentina. Guess what their central bank has to do now, because they thought that they could stop hiking interest rates, a couple of years ago. They didn't want to address the problem. Argentina just hiked their interest rates up to 75%. And they have inflation over 100%. So these people saying, the Federal Reserve should just stop hiking interest rates because they're going to crash the economy. They think that they can do that with no consequences. No, people, do you understand the consequences will be? Venezuela, you saw what's happening with hyperinflation, where food prices are going up, 40% a day. Imagine that. You go to the store, you've been struggling, you've got $10, and you think, you know what, okay, I'll get a loaf of bread so we can eat this week, or eat today. And then all of a sudden you go to the store the next day, and that loaf of bread is now $15 and you don't have enough to eat. This sounds like crazy Mad Max apocalyptic end of days type things, but this is really happening around the world, people. You just don't know it yet. It is being covered up. We're seeing huge amounts of countries collapse, like Sri Lanka. We're seeing 80% inflation, official inflation in Turkey. We all know it's more like 150%. Like I said, Argentina having to lift interest rates to 75%. Can you imagine if inflation got out of control like that in the US? Even if they just had to lift interest rates like Paul Volcker did in the 80s to 15%, we would see the biggest crash and depression that would dwarf the Great Depression. And this is still what a lot of people are complacent about. They still think that the Federal Reserve will get inflation under control and it'll be fine. Oh, people, this time will tell. We don't know that yet. So, what you need to know, what we need to do right now. We need to prepare, okay? We need to have cash on the sidelines, because I don't think this crash is over. I don't think the worst is over. I think it's going to get worse. So you're going to want to also get some food supply, because think about it like this. If you're saying, look, I want to go into the S&P 500 and invest in the S&P 500 so I can get a 10% return. What if you go and buy food now and store it? You could be saving 20 to 50%. That could be a 20 to 50% return. A lot of people that listened to me at the start of 2020 and went and brought food, they've had better returns on their food than investing in the S&P 500. Than investing in Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin's meant to go to the moon. Look at it now. It was meant to be a store of value. It's gone from 69,000 to 18,000. So people, it's time to prepare now. This is a slow motion train wreck, but it is a train wreck, and the aftermath is going to be deadly. So that's just my thoughts today. Again, in the city, Melbourne CBD. Just thought I'd quickly get this message out to you. What do you all think? Let me know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.